Welcome back. Boundaries. Boundaries and create healthy boundaries is a big word, I know. Everyone is throwing around with it, it's so important, let's create a life-work balance, and then we are totally out of balance with all this home office which is available. Maybe have a family, so we take care of the family, working at the same time simultaneously, and we have never a boundary. We rarely switch out our cell phone, or we cannot, maybe even we have to, or reading emails late at night, replying, and so on. But even so, it's necessary to create some healthy boundaries, and I think it's also possible. Not easy, but possible. I will show you how I personally experience it in a good way, or possibilities I showed to others and which worked for them. So, let's start. First, it's about awareness. So, as I said already, what is your job doing for you? Is it providing money, or do you like to connect with people because your friends are also working in the same work environment? So let's be clear about it. But then also be clear about it that your job shouldn't create the only meaning you have in your life. Because imagine you are losing this job, like your contract get terminated, or your firm is insolvent, or something like this. Then you're losing your totally meaning. So you're really depending on this job, and you may be doing too much because you say, that's my life, that's the meaning of my life. So be clear about the job. What is the job doing for you? What is the meaning of your job? Because then it's easier to create some boundaries if you know what your job is doing for you. Second, now let's create some boundaries, because now you're aware what your job is doing for you. It's both. It can be emotional boundaries, or mental boundaries, and it can be really boundaries, physical boundaries, actually boundaries. So imagine you're coming back from work. You're not working in the home office, but you come back. Then maybe have one room where you say, no cell phone is allowed here, I don't checking emails. Or maybe you change your clothes to feel, now I'm more in the private mood, after work mood. Or you can even say, if you have some struggle with your spouse, one of them is working a lot from home, and then you want to share private stuff, then maybe calling with another name, to be really aware, now she is or he is in the private life. It's not like this work environment anymore. So find some ways where you really make it clear to you, but also to others, and communicate these boundaries, what is important for you. And also be aware of it, you're a super important person, for your employer and your job, for sure. But it's also true that there are a lot of people, and we always think it's only us. But I'm quite sure if you're not working there anymore, they will find 2 or 3 months they have someone else. So also take care of some boundaries, to have a healthy boundaries. So that's more the actual thing we can do. But there's also an emotional boundary. If you are actually at the workplace, things you can do to detach you a little bit from too many bad emotions or stress. So it's all about how we talk to ourselves, how we process situations. There's always a meaning we can give to it, both ways, a positive or more negative meaning. So for example, if you have a boss who is screaming to you a lot, if you did something he or she didn't like, then he is screaming, and so there's nothing you can do about you will not change your boss about it's his or her bad behavior, but there's something you can do about your reaction. You can say, he is screaming at me, and then you feel bad, you think, oh, I did something wrong. Or you can create a healthy boundary saying, he is screaming or she is screaming. That's it. Like it's his task. Like, and it creates some space, because then it's not linked to you. He or she is screaming. It's more like an observer, trying to be more observative of the situation. If it's like this bad, and go one step back and give the situation another meaning. So that's the other part of it. Like it's also a boundary you can create and start creating straight away. And I invite you to brainstorm about a situation, like either like at home, how you can create a little boundary, or at like work, if you have a situation which annoys you and creates some emotional stress, how you can create a boundary by reframing, like with the screaming example, like how you can reframe, oh, it's his or her thing screaming, it's not mine, like I did what I could and now he or she is screaming, and just delete to me. And that's ways you can create boundaries, and then you feel a bit more like having your space, and having also more a kind of control, which you already learned. If you have control and autonomy, it creates a feeling of happiness, and in the end, because happiness first and success, we will be more successful. So see you later.